What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Peter Gabriel, and we're returning to his third album, commonly called Melt. The opening two tracks have been very impactful and intense in ways, and the third tune of the playlist is Start. So, it can be a noun or a verb, but the idea of the beginning of something, the initiation, the opening in some larger process or event. So, in that regard, I don't know, it's a single word title. Those are tough to get a read on. It could be a command or a request. It could be just sort of a a concept, a theme, and not necessarily any insight into a particular narrative. So let's just see what it is in practice. This is Peter Gabriel. The track is Start, and it's from his Three or Melt album, 1980. Oh, wait, what? So is that okay? That was like less than a minute and a half long, and the way it ended, I guess it bleeds into the next track. Well, I guess we'll listen to that because it was so short. So the next track, I mean, first let me just comment on Start there. A really wonderfully atmospheric tune. Give me one moment. Yeah, it's you, Luca. It's you. But yeah, like a smooth, progressive jazz tune for a nighttime urban setting. I'm imagining, sort of a lightly raining street, under a street light, and sort of this urban setting. But yeah, very moody, very atmospheric. I loved the saxophone, of course, and it was not just a cool saxophone part, the writing for the saxophone. It was very smooth and soulful and sort of reflective, like someone who's in their thoughts, like really great in that regard. And I think there was like a woodwind kind of behind it, like I don't know if it was an oboe, maybe a clarinet, I'm going to say oboe. But yeah, there was another instrument behind the saxophone which really blended well with the lead sax line. So yeah, just an awesome like mood piece and something that should be in a soundtrack. And I'm thinking movie, of course, but for those of you who play more modern games, or at least semi-modern games, and for those of you specifically who know the Halo games, there's one of the Halo games is called Halo 3 ODST, and there's these interconnecting levels like between the proper levels where it's in Mombasa, or New Mombasa as it's called, and it's at night, and it's like very like this jazzy like nighttime jazz type of score. So this track could have fit in like perfectly with those, or who knows, maybe a track like this provided inspiration to the composers. In any case, let's listen to the next track because it seemed to flow right into that, and it's called I Don't Remember, which frankly could be the name of my autobiography if I ever write one. But yes, the idea of not being able to recall some detail, it might be insignificant, it could be everything, or it could be, in some cases, I guess, a blessing. The idea of, some awful experience or some really hard to get past memory. And then if it fades over time and you don't remember, maybe that's better for your psyche, or at the very least, it's the kind of phrase that might not be a bad thing, even if on the surface, you're inclined to think that it's unfortunate because you might need that information, or it might be important or advantageous for you to remember. So let's see what he can't remember, he being the narrator of the song, and presuming this one has vocals, because again, the start track was an instrumental. But yes, this is Peter Gabriel and I Don't Remember from Melt 1980.
What's gone is gone and I do not keep it down. Empty stomach, empty head, I got empty heart and empty bed. I don't remember. I don't remember. I don't remember. I don't recall. I got no memory of anything at all. I don't remember. I don't recall. I got no memory of anything at all. Strange is your language and I have no decoder. Why don't you make your intention clear? With eyes to the sun and your mouth to the soul, just say you tell me the truth, you got nothing to fear. Stop staring at me like a bird of prey. I'm all mixed up, I got nothing to say. I don't remember. Oh, I don't remember. I don't remember. I don't recall. I got no memory of anything at all. Oh, I don't remember. I don't recall. I got no memory of anything at all. I don't remember. I don't recall. I got no memory of anything at all. I don't remember. I don't recall. I got no memory of anything. Absolutely anything at all.
Even before that ending was just enhanced my feeling of what I'm about to say, the track already had this raw, like rough intensity to it. Like the sonics, like the lower end, the bass, it was very rugged and sort of rough, and even the sonics overall had this very raw quality. Not like in a like it's underproduced or it doesn't sound like polished. More in like it's intentionally a bit edgy and raw. Lyrically, I'm intrigued because it's like he's saying very clearly, I don't remember, I don't recall anything at all. And he was also saying, like, I have no identification, I have nothing to tell you, like, who I am or what I am, and you'll just have to take me as I am. Which made me think, like amnesia, like he actually doesn't know who he is and he has no identifying papers to, give him context and whatever. But there was a verse, I think like the middle verse, it was something like, your language is strange, I don't know what you're saying, you have to make yourself clearer. So it sounds like maybe the ambiguity and inarticulate or opaque nature of both the narrator and whoever he's talking to, it's like bi-directional, it sounds like. I do enjoy the vocals, a couple moments where he has these kind of like raw, like rock vocals, kind of like shouts, even though they're not like huge belts, but they have that raw intensity. I did also enjoy, there was like guitar, which seemed to be kind of, again, it wasn't like loud in front of the track, it was more like within the overall sonics, even a bit like faded in the back, but there was a bit of this, kind of edgy 80s style guitar. And even beyond that, there were a couple sounds which had this, half phased in, half phased out, sort of like trailing, echoing into the distance type of quality. So, yeah, just the sound of the tune overall, I very much enjoy. Again, lyrically, I'm not quite sure, and maybe there's a specific meaning here, but in general, it sounds like not only is he a bit unsure of information, who he is, where he is, or where he came from, but it's also like he's saying the other person is a bit impenetrable, a bit like imperceptible. So yeah, curious to hear what people have to say about this one. But again, I'm very much enjoying the beginning of this album, and already the first couple albums I went through, his sonic creativity and different types of sounds for different tracks was apparent, but it's being enhanced very notably by the opening of this album, which I did note a couple of you commented that this is one of his very great albums. So I'm already getting a sense of that. Obviously, we're still very early in the track list for the album, but I am getting a sense of that. So once again, shout out to Phil for the Peter Gabriel material. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. What are you doing over there, Luca? What?